Well, folks, welcome to another edition of Rimshots of Sean, brought to you by Barstools and Bandtalk. I'm really excited about this one. Obviously, the fella at the bottom of my screen, you'll recognize having been on the show before, Mr. Mick Michaels. How are you, sir?
All right, how you doing?
I'm great. Mr. Chris Natalini, I got that correct?
You do, man. I'm very impressed by that. Hello,
Yeah,
how are you?
great. And we're talking all things podcast. So you guys have, this is season 5, the Cosmic Voice. I was very intrigued when your guy sent this to me because there's not a lot of music podcasts that I would find interesting. Like, some of them are fluffy, and obviously there's the three sides of the coin, which you may or may not like or whatever. But I started reading what you guys did, and it was really a business. Teaching independent music people how to conduct business. So, Chris, maybe we'll start with you. Season 5. What got you guys to start this, and where's it been going?
Well, if you're familiar with our show, or I should say, if you're not familiar, Mick and I have known each other since we were kids, literally teenagers. We didn't go to the same high school, but we hung around with the same people. So Mick and I have always had a friendship. And we've always been in music and the whole nine, and literally between the two of us, we probably have over 60 years of experience. So during COVID, Mick had come up with this Here and Now artist project that was for raising money. And when he got that project off the ground, he started to go, "Hey, I have some other ideas," which Mick always has ideas. That's just who he is. And he came to me one day and was like, "Hey, listen, I have this idea about doing this podcast, and talking about the business side of the industry, coming from two independent artists who literally, between the two of us, we've pretty much done it all. I mean, between booking and touring and labels and in and out of bands and members and, we've pretty much done it all. And I've always wanted to work with Mick. We've always had this great relationship, and the Here and Now project was super exciting for me. I'd never been a part of anything like that. So he really attracted me to it. And anything I know Mick puts his name to, it's going to be legit and it's going to be awesome and it's going to be top notch. So I immediately jumped at it. He already had it set up. He knew what he wanted to do. He knew what he wanted to sound like. And we set up Zoom again because, like I said, it was during COVID and everybody was learning how to use Zoom if you didn't know how to use it at that point. And everybody was getting home recording stuff. I had literally just bought home recording stuff to do my stuff on, with my bands. And then also, again, with the Here and Now project. And we just started and it just snowballed from there. And, here we are, season 5. And it's been amazing. It's been such a great time, and I always look forward to seeing them and talking shop.
Well, that's great, and we'll get into the nitty gritty here in a second. But people who are watching this going, where do we know Mick from? Well, Mick's been on the show before. We had him on there before. And the other thing, you'll recognize him from Hair Nation. He was one of the guys that got on there and ushered in Cinderella, and I still hear that to this day. So shout out to that too. I don't know if that's a source of pain or shame or awesomeness, but Mick, I know you through RFL, and I know I follow your band and what have you. One of the things that I find sometimes in the music industry is, especially where I come from, it's all well and good to go out and see a band or whatever. The sharing of information and the sharing of data it's sort of forthcoming. It's almost like other people want to see bands fail. And you guys are kind of not, you're taking an opposite approach.
Yeah, listen, as Chris was saying, we've been doing this a long time, right? And we started in bands as young kids where everybody was kind of like friendly with everybody. I mean, not everybody, but for the majority of people that we hung with, everybody was kind of working together. So, being part of different bands, even as just a supporter, has always been something that's been normal to me. And what I've seen through the years, and especially in the last 10 years, is when you go to a show, it's every band for themselves. And I get that. It is a business thing. Everybody's trying to make it on their own, do what they can. But there's not even like, "Hey man, how you doing? Hello, good luck," this kind of thing. So, I've been an indie artist my entire career. In the trench artist is what I like to call it. And everything I've had to do, you kind of had to muddle through it, figure it out, make shit up, whatever. And with Corners of Sanctuary, I took it to another level for me, and I got real experimental with things to generate finances, to generate PR, to basically wheel and deal and do it on a shoestring or no string. And when we had what provoked all this is prior in 2019 we decided that the band had decided that they wanted to go to the UK, and unfortunately we decided late in the year. So when they said, well, what can you do, Mick? I said, well, I don't know, I'll just hit the pavement, start throwing things at the wall. Every avenue I went to, everyone told me you can't book a tour like this in 3 months. It's impossible, you can't do it. So the more I heard that, the more I said, I'm going to do this. And I did. I booked a 10-day tour. And after doing that, I looked back and I said, when I get back from the UK, I think I want to write all this down, how I did it, so I could get other people to do this. Because I figure the more people that are doing it, the better the scenes are going to be, the more successful bands are going to be, and maybe more friendly they're going to be. Unfortunately, we were over in the UK, and I told this story to you before. We were in the UK when the US shut down for COVID. So our tour was canceled. We had to come back once we found a flight and all. So I took a month or so, to get everything back together just because of the COVID. But thinking on this, well, like, should I write about it? Shouldn't I write about it? I thought about, finally I said, you know what? Podcasts seem to be a thing. So and as soon as I said that, I knew Chris was the person I wanted to do it with immediately. I was like, well, who else? Because over the last 30 years, every time we get together, it's like a podcast. Like we just talk about
that's true
business. I mean, ever since we were kids, we would kind of like just go off and start talking about this and that and this and that and share ideas and experiences. And like we were paralleling each other through the career. We were in a band for a short time when we were teenagers, and then he went one way, I went another way, but we would always kind of come back. And, so I knew that I didn't want to do it alone, and I knew he was the person to do it with. And I was basically, well, if he doesn't do it, I'll go back to writing a book. It's easy, right?
Right.
And he was excited about it, man. And we, it took us it would take us about 3-4 months to get it all together.
Yeah.
Several test runs to get the sound right, but
yeah.
The whole goal is it's just kind of a conversation between the two of us on a topic, and we tell people based on our experiences, things that work, things that didn't. If you've listened to the show, if you're familiar with it, we often discuss a lot of times things that didn't work for us. Kind of we got egg all over our face, or it worked a little bit, but it we had to go back and retool it. So it's a lot of that kind of experience, and if people can get better at just by picking up an idea, then we're doing our job. I mean, the way I look at it, I mean, I'm getting older, and I'm getting into the part of my life where my career, if it stays the same, that's okay, but I'm not going to do the things that I did when I was 20 and 30 and in my 40s. So now it's, kind of like, if we can pass some of this on, maybe we can help save the scene. Because listen, the truth of the matter is, before COVID, at least down here, the scene was rocky. COVID just kind of put that extra nail in the coffin and clamped it down. So we're all rebuilding. So what better way to rebuild if we all get to kind of learn some things from people? Because like you said, nobody wants to give any secrets away. Not that there is any secrets. Most of the secrets are a bunch of lies anyway, right? If you think about it. Especially now.
The interesting thing, though, and I have a friend that always says, it's like, how do you want to cross a minefield, right? Do you want to go by yourself and blow off arms and legs, or you want to find out who got across, walk in their footsteps, and get to the other side, which makes a lot of sense. One of the things that I find up here, and I mean, I started my podcast, it was a lark. It was going to be 3-4 weeks. Everything was going to open back up again, and I didn't take it too seriously. I was doing it on my iPhone and what have you. But the next thing you know, things extend. And we're doing it for longer. Then we're getting more popular. Then we're all over the place. One of the things that I started to see with not everybody, but certain people, is they would come to you for information. They get what they thought they needed, and then they would kind of go off and, I'm done with you and whatever. Have you guys, Chris, you guys found that? yet in what's taking place with what you're doing?
I mean, not that anyone has ever said to me directly. Usually the two things I'll normally get is love the show. This is what I love about the show, and or I like that idea. That's really cool. Or I've been through that also. So those are the things that I normally get. I can't speak for Mick, but I haven't gotten any of that anyway. I mean, at least as far as I'm aware of.
Right. Well, and one of the things too, and you guys will both, you've been around for a bit doing this, and I'm used to people recognizing me if they've been at a show that I've been doing, but I'll be somewhere in those. You're that guy from that podcast, and it's like it's very weird. Pardon me. And I find you always have to be on. You might be, and you always hear, famous people talking about it. But if somebody comes up and you're kind of crappy to them because you stubbed your toe or whatever, that bites you in the rear end, right? And it's weird how you get kind of famous just being on a podcast.
Yeah.
It's go ahead, Mick. Sorry, no, go ahead.
Go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
I think me and Mick come from a old school kind of thought that, we kind of, if someone does recognize us, whether it's be through the band or whether it's been through the podcast, we try to make sure that we give them that time, right? Because we've all been down that road and, we've met someone that has either been really crappy or it's been really cool. And those really cool experiences kind of, they stick with you, right? Like they stay with you. There's been many times in my life that I was able to meet someone that I looked up to and it was a really great experience. And it just made me that bigger of a fan. And, that's important to me. I would never want to, kind of be rude or blow someone off, no matter what mood I'm in or what's going on. And if I'm in that situation, I'll just say, excuse me for a second, I will be right back, stay right here, then go do what I got to do. Then I will come back. And I've had those experiences also, but I try to never leave anybody with just with a crappy experience.
Yeah. I mean, again, like Chris was saying, we're kind of cut from the same cloth. We came up through the same area, many of the same friends. So we were familiar with bands. We like a lot of the same music, same thing. Family structure was relatively same. We always kind of felt, hey, listen, we're the lucky ones. Somebody's actually listening to us.
Yeah.
Whether it was the music and we say it a lot on the podcast, like somebody's listening. Yeah. Like, I mean, we're not Joe Rogan, but somebody's listening and it's not just the two of us. And and we're grateful for that. So to blow somebody, like, I think it was season 1 and season 2, we were taking questions from the audience. Like we would answer their questions. And we were encouraging more questions to come in because, and we want to give people the information that they're looking for. Sometimes, listen, with artists, we don't know what information we're looking for. We want to achieve something. We want to get a lot of Spotify, in today's world. We want to sell a lot of albums, or we want to book shows, or we want to do this. But that's like the big picture. It's like we don't know the little things that the trees, branches to get there. And we all had to learn, like if we're still doing it past 2 months from starting it, right? Then we've had to learn it the hard way because it just, there was no manual. Nobody was talking about it. So to be able to give that experience to other people is a benefit, right? But it's a great opportunity for us to grow as people, grow this community. And by community, I mean with all artists. I mean, yeah, we're metalheads and we relate a lot of the things based on band experience in a metal scene. But really, you could take that metal out and it doesn't, you can apply it anywhere because the business is the same. And that's what we're hoping people get from it.
Right on. I think this is a great time to end segment 1. I have a couple of things that I want to hit you with in segment 2. So why don't we just stick a pin in this and we'll be back.
Okay.